Okay, hi everybody, Lori Newman again. We're back for part 2 of the basics of keto. I'm going to try and keep this quick and short because it has just started sprinkling out here. So, I'm so sorry I couldn't get it all in one. That was my goal, but we're just going to go on from here. Okay, so Lori Newman, Happy, Healthy, Whole, part 2 of keto basics. 3 quick disclaimers I want to get out there. 1, not a professional, not an expert, don't claim to be on this video, giving you what I know and what I have learned and what's worked for me. 2, we're going to keep it positive, please. Everybody be encouraging, uplifting, no negativity here on this site. And 3, like and share if you haven't already. Share with anybody you think might want to get healthy, might, benefit from keto, or any of the topics that we talk about here. They're not all going to be about keto. So like and share, and then below somewhere here, if you're watching on YouTube, there is a subscribe button. So if you'll subscribe, then you'll be automatically guaranteed that every video that I upload will automatically notify you that it's up there and ready. Okay, so let's get this knocked out here and give you a little bit more information quickly, and then we're going to end it for today, and then I'll get you into specifics as we go along. You guys are going to love keto. You're going to love it. It seems like a lot of information right now, and I'm really sorry about that, but I'm just a firm believer in giving you as much information and knowledge as I can up front when you get started with this, so that there are no surprises and you really have the full, like I had it when I started researching and studying it and watching the doctors online that are experts in the field, and started watching other people that do it. I really, the more knowledge I could have, the better. I wanted the whole picture and the whole thing when I got started. So I just feel like that's what I really want to get with you guys and get to you if I can. So now we're going to talk just quickly about, in the last video I touched on foods to eat when you're on keto. We're going to touch on that a little bit more, than some things you can drink and can't drink on keto, and then foods that you really need to avoid. So foods you can eat. High fat meats we talked about. Fishes, seafood, any high fat meats you can do on keto. We talked about cheese and dairy, everything except milk. They request or tell you kind of to stay away from milk because milk has a lot of things in it that affect people in other ways that aren't even, part of keto. It can affect a lot of people, stomach issues, a lot of different illnesses and things happen in dairy and milk products. But anyway, so they say to stay away from milk, at least at first, until you can kind of know that you're in ketosis real well and see how your body's handling, like the cheeses and the heavy whipping cream and the cream cheese, and you can even do some cottage cheese. You just kind of watch. It's a little bit higher in carbs, but you can do cottage cheese, and then just kind of see how your body processes those, and if it does okay with it and it's handling it all right, then you could try a little milk, but you just have to be careful. Milk has carbs in it that if you get over, it's not good, and you can quickly and easily get over your limit. So I would avoid milk. I still, to this day, 8.5 months into this ketogenic lifestyle, I have not had milk. I don't miss it that much because I get all the other dairy. Okay, eggs. Eggs are an important staple in your ketogenic diet. And there I said diet, I'm so sorry, lifestyle. Eggs are very important. Eggs have multiple, and I know that it goes back and forth on this subject, but eggs have multiple benefits that your body needs and really benefits from. So eggs are important. I go through a dozen eggs a week easily. You can do them any way you want. A lot of times I hard boil a dozen, and then I've just got them there for any time I need a quick egg. When I started keto, almost every day for 3 months, I did bacon and eggs for breakfast. So I had at least 2 eggs every morning with breakfast. If I only did eggs, I'd do 3 eggs. Or if I just did a piece of bacon with it or something, I'd do 3 eggs. So I went through a lot of eggs. And then a lot of stuff that you make takes eggs, like stuff that used to take flour, or things that you can't do anymore, like the flour and the sugars that you can't do anymore. You can substitute eggs and your sugar substitutes, and we'll get into that a little too. But anyway, so eggs are important. Vegetables, anything grown above ground. There are lists, like I said, on Facebook of all the vegetables. The best ones for you are the dark green vegetables. Any of the dark green, spinach, collard greens, broccoli, asparagus, any of those dark green vegetables. Cucumbers are even really good for you. I got some happy hair again. It's just waving at everybody. It's so friendly. Anyway, all the dark green ones, and then like the lettuces and the leafy greens, super important to get. And when you get into those kind of greens, or those leafy vegetables, the purple lettuces and those kind of things are super good for you too. So dark green, the darker the green the better, but all those vegetables are on the list there. Get the list. And then other things that are good for you, like I said, the healthy fats I listed in video 1 of the Keto Basics are avocados, coconut oil, olive oil, real butter, ghee. Those are all good for you. Lard is good for you. There are several others. You can even get avocado oil. You can cook with avocado oil if you like that. Those are all healthy fats. Nuts are really good healthy fats. They give you some fats and I believe some proteins, which is really good and healthy for you. Berries, the fruits on this that you can have are limited, unfortunately, until you get into maintenance mode. Once you get into maintenance mode and you can get up to 50 grams a day and still stay under your total, you can add some fruits into there. But for right now, berries. Any kind of berries are safe. Strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. You can do a little cherries, but they're really high in carbs, so you just have to really be careful and watch. But any of the berries, did I say raspberries? Anyway, blackberries, any of those are good. Now, drinks. Let's touch on drinks real quick. What you can drink. Instantly, if you're a pop drinker, you need to cut that out. Now, in saying that, there is an exception because it's only pops that have real sugar in them. So your diet pops, your diet Cokes, and your diet Dr. Peppers and diet Mountain Dews and all that kind of stuff, those are okay. Now, they're okay on keto, but they aren't necessarily healthy for you. They're not necessarily good for you. They're okay and they're acceptable and you're allowed to have them on keto. And if you're addicted to pop, when you first get started, you're going to have to easily step yourself off probably. It's going to be a huge shock to your system. So if that's the case and you need to switch to some diet Coke for a while or switch to some diet Pepsi or diet Mountain Dew or diet Sprite or whatever your poison is, you just switch to diet or sugar-free. The sugar-free pops and stuff, those are all okay because there's no sugar in them. But just not any straight up hard full ethanol, so to speak, pops. You can't do those. So you'll need to cut those out. Now, water is excellent. I touched on this in my getting ready video there. Water is great. Your body needs the water. It just does to do this whole process right. Plus your body needs, a lot of times when you think you're hungry, you're really thirsty and you don't realize. Your body is trying to tell you it's thirsty, but to you it seems hungry. Anyway, the signs are the same as hunger. So water is good. Coffee is completely fine on this. A lot of you are going to be so happy to hear that. Coffee is completely fine on keto. It's what you put in it that you have to be careful. No sugar, obviously, in your coffee. Now, you can do the sugar substitutes in your coffee, and that's completely fine, which is what's in the diet pops. They just do artificial sugars. But no real sugar in your coffee. Now, you can do heavy whipping cream in your coffee, completely fine. You can do some of these flavored creamers in your coffee. You just have to watch. Get the sugar-free creamers. Get the creamers that have the sugar substitutes in them. But you can still do some of the flavored creamers in your coffee. One of the big ones, one of the big coffees that people do as breakfast replacements, which if you make these, here's a disclaimer, people don't realize, I've heard so many people that get on keto that don't realize they have to replace their breakfast with this. But one of the things that is huge in the keto world is a bulletproof coffee. Some of you probably have heard of it. A lot of people make it in a lot of different ways, but the big is coffee. And then you add either coconut oil, which is delicious, in it, or you can add what they call MCT oil, which, again, in a later video we'll get to that and you'll understand what MCT is. It's just short for medium chain triglycerides, but anyway, we'll get into that later, but you can add MCT oil to your coffee. Anyway, so coffee, you can do the heavy whipping cream in it, you can add the coconut oil or the MCT oil in it, and then you can do the sugar-free or the sugar substitute. You can do the sugar-free creamers or the sugar substitute in it. Stir it all up, and even better, people that like really rich coffee, even better is add some real butter to it. If you have something that'll whip it, that'll really whip it, almost like an espresso machine or something, delicious. Whip it all up in hot coffee and drink it, but you do have to use that as a meal replacement. If you do that and your meal, you're going to go way over on your fats for the day. So anyway, so coffee is okay, just not any real sugar, and make sure if you do the flavors in it that it's sugar-free ones. Tea is good. Tea is excellent on, if tea wasn't, I couldn't do this lifestyle. I'm a teaaholic. But tea, hot tea or cold tea, iced tea is completely fine. You just can't have sugar. You can use your sugar substitutes, but you can't have regular sugar in it. So tea is fine. And also for some of you alcohol consumers, some of you people that like your alcohol or your wine, there are some harder alcohols, we'll call it, like the shots and stuff like that you can do. There are a few of those that are lower in carbs, and then there are some beers now out there that advertise lower carbs, and there are some, I mean, not just advertising, that do have them. You really just have to check your labels, check your carbs, and make sure you get one that's lower, because alcohol is a big one for people that like to drink, that are trying to do this ketogenic lifestyle, that kicks them out of keto right now. Because most alcohols have a lot of carbs in them, a lot. But again, like on my earlier video of prepping for this keto and getting your mindset into it, get into looking at the carbs, turn things around, start checking your carb counts and everything. And alcohol and drinks is no exception. But anyway, so those of you that like wine, red wines are lower in carbs. Now, they still have carbs, and you still have to be careful, and you can only do it occasionally, but check your carb counts, because there are some red wines that are lower in carbs than other regular wines. So check those. Now, so those are drinks you can do. Another thing that you really have to watch, and this falls in the foods to avoid, but it's not really a food, and a lot of time they sneak it in drinks. So I'm going to talk about it now quickly. Maltodextrin. Maltodextrin is a keto person's nightmare, because it's an additive they put in most food and a lot of drinks, and one I didn't even think about, most pill supplements, most vitamins, most of your any kind of pill form supplements most of them have maltodextrin in it. Maltodextrin is the word. You need to avoid that. You need to check labels and avoid that. But a lot of your, like, big one, Crystal Light. A lot of people like to switch, because you can do Crystal Light with no sugar. It falls under the okay for carbs, but it has maltodextrin in it, and maltodextrin stops your weight loss. I mean, something in that product, in that additive that they put in there, stops your weight loss almost instantly. So you need to check maltodextrin. And if you get any of those like sugar-free drink things that you want to substitute, or you start doing water and you can't handle just straight water, so you want to get some of those flavoring things and put in there, as long as they don't have maltodextrin or regular sugar in them, you can add them, but you need to double check and make sure there's no maltodextrin in those. Even if there's no sugar, make sure that's not in there. But anyway, okay, so foods to avoid besides maltodextrin. And this is just a short, brief list. Potatoes, pasta, most fruits, because they're too high in natural sugars, which we kind of touched on that. Berries you can do. Breads, alcohols, most alcohol we touched on. Pop we touched on. Juices, you can't do orange juice, apple juice, cranberry juice. Any of those juices have way too many carbs. Chocolate, you cannot do the sweets like you did. You can't do the chocolates, you can't do the cakes, you can't do the donuts. You can't do the cookies, you can't do candy. This is a hard one for people. I'm going to give you just a quick 2 things that I do for a sweet substitute, 3 things I do for a sweet substitute. One of them is chocolate. There's an exception. Chocolate, if you do at least 90% cacao, whatever they call that, 90% cocoa. As long as it has at least 90% or higher cocoa in the chocolate, and no sugar in the ingredient, you can do chocolates. I have a favorite that I do. The higher the cocoa count, the more bitter it is. So you really have to like your chocolates and like a little bitter in them, because the higher percentage of cocoa in it, the more bitter it is. But one of the really good ones that I found that I like, Walmart has a Sam's Choice, which is like, you can probably get it at Sam's, but our Walmart here locally has Sam's Choice chocolates, cocoa chocolates, and it's got 90% cocoa. You can eat, and they are big squares, You can eat 3 of those big squares and you have 1 carb in 3 squares. So I keep a bar of those in my desk drawer at work. I keep a bar of those here at home. Great to get some sweet and not kick you out of ketosis. The second one is Cool Whip. Cool Whip is a dairy, so you can do it. 2 tablespoons of Cool Whip, which is like, if you're like me, you have the regular spoons you eat with and the bigger spoons you eat with. A bigger spoon of those, you can have a bigger spoon of Cool Whip, 2 carbs. I keep a tub of Cool Whip in my freezer at all times. 1, because I like ice cream and you can't have ice cream anymore on this. So if I keep my Cool Whip frozen, when I take it out and get a spoonful of it, it's like ice cream to me because it's cold and hard and sweet. So I scoop it out, plus it lasts longer in your mouth. You can only have a little bit of it. So if it's frozen, it takes longer to melt and dissolve and to swallow. So Cool Whip is the second one that I keep constantly. If I have a sweet tooth or need something sweet, that's what I go for. The third thing I keep, and this is all to taste what you like, I keep a bag, and when my husband did it, he kept a bag of the chocolates, but I keep a bag of the little butterscotch balls, the little round butterscotches. I'm not butterscotch, I'm so sorry, caramels, a little bag of the caramels in my pantry. And like I said, he keeps a little bag of the little bitty chocolates things, Hershey chocolates. And if the higher the cocoa count in those, the better too. But if I get a sweet tooth for something, I'll put a couple of those, just pour out a couple of those in my hand and eat it, and it's maybe 2 carbs. There's maybe like a carb a piece. I'd have to look at it to make sure. But anyway, so that gives me a little bit of sweet without kicking me out of ketosis. So that's just a disclaimer there. I still get a little bit of sugar again. It's probably not okay in the keto world, but in my world it works and I still lose weight. Okay, so none of the sweets. You cannot have rice. You cannot have processed foods. None of the fake butters and oils, or none of the fake butters, and then none of the vegetable oils. So none of the margarines, none of the butters that mix any of the vegetable oils in them, canola oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, any of those. You can't have any of those on keto. All of those are a no-no. On keto, you need the real thing, the real butters. You need the coconut oils, you need the avocado oils, you need the olive oils. Extra virgin olive oil. Cold pressed is better, but extra virgin olive oil is what you need for those. Steer clear of any of the vegetable oils and any of the fake butters. And then again, like I said, anything with maltodextrin. Okay, so we've covered some basics of that, what you need. Quickly, I'm going to tell you kind of how we're going to do this in some upcoming videos too. So upcoming videos and things I want to touch on that you know, so like if you have questions, you'll know it's coming up. Net carbs versus total carbs. There's a big dilemma out there on whether your 20 grams of carbs or less need to be just total carbs or net carbs. And some of you probably have never even heard of net carbs. But we're going to get into that video and probably quickly, because once you get started on this, you need to make sure you're staying under your carb count. So an upcoming video, net carbs versus total carbs, which is better, and explain them. Healthy keto versus lazy keto. You've probably, if you've been around and heard much about keto at all, you've heard about this. Which is better, healthy or lazy? I've ridden both fences. You know, I've kind of ridden the fence. I've been on both lines. I do mine more now lazy keto. And when I first got started, actually, I guess I should say that backwards. I do more healthy keto. When I first got started, I did more lazy keto, because there are some foods and things that when you're doing like the healthy keto and doing nothing but putting healthy stuff in your body, that people say to stay away from. People in the keto world, there are some lazy keto things that you can still eat and get by with that they say not to in the healthy. For instance, a good snack, and one of these videos is going to be snack foods that we're going to touch on too, but a good snack are pork rinds. Well, that's the lazy keto. You can eat pork rinds all day long because there's no carbs in pork rinds on lazy keto. Healthy keto, they say, you know, yes, but is it really good to get most of your calories from, you know, pork rinds? So, you know, you need to save a lot of calories for your vegetables and your proteins that you need. So anyway, healthy keto versus lazy keto. We're going to do a video on that and explain those. Exercise, whether you should do exercise or not do exercise while you're on keto. That's a big one. We're going to discuss that. I did not my first 6 months. Now, when I hit my maintenance or my goal and now I'm in maintenance, I have switched to do exercises because I want to tone, but we're going to discuss whether you should or shouldn't. IF, intermittent fasting. We'll go into whole big details on intermittent fasting, on the benefits of doing it and whether you should and how often you should do it and what it even is. So that'll be a future video. Keto flu. A lot of you have probably heard about the keto flu. People that first switch to a ketogenic lifestyle are afraid to do it or don't want to do it because they're going to go through this keto flu that everybody's talked about. So we'll discuss what that is and some solutions to avoid it and not get stuck with keto flu, as they say. And then easy food choices. I'm going to do a video on some easy food choices, easy meal planning, things that don't require a lot of thought when you first get started, so you can just focus on just eating the right foods and not getting, real extravagant in how you make your foods and different, how you plan and making sure you get all different steps. So we'll talk about easy meal planning and easy food choices. And just so you know, they're not expensive. There's a lot of, doing keto is not expensive. So, some easy, cheaper ways to do some things in keto. Okay, next, sugar substitutes. Obviously, you can't do regular sugar, but there are tons of sugar substitutes out there, and you've probably heard from one end of the spectrum to the other on whether these are healthy or whether they're really bad for you or they're okay to do in moderation or what. So we're going to do a video on sugar substitutes. And then fat adapted. A lot of you probably have never heard of that, and that's okay. In keto, there's a thing called being fat adapted, and it's just a process that your body hits. It's a place after you've been successfully in keto strictly for a certain amount of time that your body gets what they call fat adapted, and how that affects you and some of the bad freedoms that gives you in doing a little bit of sugar. So we're going to talk about fat adapted on a later video. Non-scale victories. I'm going to do a video on non-scale victories because non-scale victories are super, super important and critical to your journey and to your success in keto. So we're going to do a video on that. Fiber, how to get enough fiber and how important fiber is. We're going to do a video on that because when you cut out a lot of these foods, getting your fiber can be challenging and you still need it. So we're going to discuss a whole video on fiber. Yay! And then we're going to talk about electrolytes and adding in electrolytes, because when you cut out a lot of these carbs and foods that have so much salt and sodium in it, and so much of these other things, your body is missing, it starts draining its electrolytes, and then you have to replace them, which is not hard and not expensive at all. But we need to discuss how to do that and when and some of the symptoms that you're going to start getting if you start getting low on electrolytes and what you need to do to help to fix that. So we're going to do a video on that. And then we're also going to do a video on water weight and your big weight loss at first. I'm so sorry, I put something on my screen again and then I lost it. Okay, so we're going to do one on water weight and your extreme, your a lot of pounds you're going to lose at first. So we'll discuss that in a video. And then your weeks that you won't have any weight loss. We're going to discuss that in the same video probably as the water weight. Okay, so those are some upcoming videos. Now quickly, I got a couple minutes here. How I want to do this. Fridays, I want to dedicate to posting new keto videos. Wednesdays, we're going to dedicate to Wednesday weigh-ins, or we're going to call it weigh-in Wednesdays, which is fine. But on Wednesdays, I don't want people to be afraid to do this. I want everyone to join and do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to post my befores and my afters just like everybody else. But weigh-in Wednesdays are going to be where you're going to put current weight and what your current weight is. We're going to do this. We're going to start this coming Wednesday. We're going to put our current weight and what our weight is. We're going to put our, actually, let me back that up. We're going to put with our starting weight, SW, what our starting weight is. Starting weight. You're going to see them on there because I'm going to do the same thing. And then you're going to put your current weight, because this first week on Wednesday, it's going to be the same as your starting weight. But every week, that's going to change. And we're going to put starting weight and what it is, your current weight and what it is, and then your goal weight and what it is, what your goal is to get to. That's super important to stick with this and to motivate you that we do these. We're going to do them every Wednesday. We're going to thumbs up and smiley face and happy emojis, and we're going to make positive comments when people hit goals. We're going to make positive comments when people have lost weight, and it's going to be super encouraging that we all in this community do that for each other. So we're going to have weigh-in Wednesdays. I'm going to do a video. We'll talk more about it for this coming Wednesday. Then I'm going to try to post some positive things on there other times. Monday is probably going to be Motivational Mondays, and I'm going to just post little motivational, short, quick videos on there for you guys just to encourage you and motivate you. So again, subscribe down there so you'll get all those videos. Now, two things quickly, 30 seconds I hope, that you need to do. You're not going to want to do either one probably, but you need to do both. It's super important to your motivation and to get you to continue on this journey. The first one is you need to take pictures. You need to take pictures all the time. I don't care if you're the only one that sees them, that is completely fine. I can tell you on my phone, in my pictures, I have a trash can. In that trash can is every one of my selfies I've taken of myself since I started this keto journey, because I don't want anybody else who looks at my photos to see my photos from when I started at 252 pounds. But it is important for us to see our own and see our progress. So you're going to have weeks where your numbers are down low as far as what you've lost. You're going to have weeks where you think you messed it up so bad by eating something you shouldn't have eaten or doing something you shouldn't have done. And you're going to need to be able to look back and see that motivation. See where you came from. Put that beside wherever you're at now, the picture you took this week from the beginning picture, and see how far you've come. You're going to need that for motivation, and it's great. Trust me, I have looked back over mine so many times I can't count. Super motivating. You need to do that. Take pictures. I suggest once a week. It may seem vain. Take a picture once a week and you're going to be glad you did as you start seeing the progress, and you can sit your pictures side by side and see how far you've come. It's going to be awesome. The second thing is I recommend highly on a calendar, like a calendar app on your phone or on a calendar you hang on your wall so you're the only one that sees it. But on a calendar app is a great thing on your phone. Keep track of either your weight or how many pounds you've lost that week, every week. You need to pick a day. For me, it was Fridays because I'm off and it was easier. I'd sleep in those days, so I got more sleep, so it was better. My body burned more calories and more fat overnight. And so Friday mornings when I got up, or midday, I would weigh myself and then I would write down either that weight or how much I'd lost. You can do whichever you want to do, but every week I kept track of it. It seems silly at first because you're like writing, almost the same number every week, but then when you do, again, have those weeks where you haven't lost much, or you're thinking like, oh, I'm kind of discouraged this week, or I feel like I've been on this forever and haven't done very well, you can look back on that calendar. And for me, all I put was a number. I didn't put anything. I made an appointment on there, and all I put on that appointment was up in the description. I put my number, 250, 247. 232, whatever, each week. That's all I did was a number, but then I can go back and look at it. So it was awesome. Okay, I'm ending this video. Thank you guys for sticking with me. It's about to cut me off because you can only have so many minutes. So thank you for sticking with me. Upcoming videos are coming. I'm going to touch on all that stuff. Good luck getting started. If you have questions or comments, please put them below and I will answer them as quick as I can. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend, and to everyone out there that's a mother, happy Mother's Day. Bless you. Bye.